Good day. I am Miss Raina Mae Dolera and I will be discussing to you about microscope. Before we discuss the lesson, let me share with you the learning competency of this topic, which is to identify parts of the microscope and their functions. At the end of the lesson we will be able to learn the following learning objectives. A. Identify the parts, functions and types of a microscope. B. Name the parts of a microscope and state its functions. C. Share the importance of microscope in scientific discovery. Now, let's start our discussion by dividing the topic into 5 main areas, namely: microscope definition and terms, its history, types, parts and functions, and how to proper care the microscope. Start with the definition and terms about microscopes.
This is the picture of a microscope. Microscope is a special equipment used to make small objects appear bigger, like cell, bacteria and etc.
How do microscope works? Microscopes uses convex lenses to enlarge the small objects into bigger image. Convex lenses bend light and focus it in one spot. These convex lenses are found in the eyepiece and objectives of the microscope.
In discussing microscope, we must define what is magnification. Magnification is also known as magnifying power, wherein it is the ability of the microscope to make tiny objects and living organisms look bigger. The picture below explains what we can see under different magnification. To determine your magnification, you just multiply the ocular lens by the objective lens. Example: given an ocular of 10x magnification and an objective of 40x magnification. Calculate the magnification of the microscope by multiplying 10x, x, 40x, equals 400x magnification. So the object is 400 times larger. Objective lens have their magnification written on them, while the ocular lenses usually magnifies by 10x. Resolution, also known as resolving power. It is the ability of the microscope to distinguish small gaps between two separate points which humans can't distinguish. The picture presented best explain how resolution works. Next. Field's view. It is the bright circle of light where the specimen is observed under the microscope. Specimen is a part or sample of any material for study or examination under the microscope. Lastly, glass slide. Together with the cover slip, it is used in mounting the specimen. The history of the microscope is presented in the diagram above. Many people experimented with making microscopes. According to the evidences, the first microscope was 6 feet long. The Greeks and Romans used lenses to magnify objects over 1,000 years ago. The concrete history of the invention of microscope started with Hans and Zacharias Janssen, the father and son Dutch spectacle makers in 1590s, who created the first compound microscope. This picture is the microscope model of the two. Next is Anton van Leeuwenhoek. He is the father of microscopy due to his invented microscope as seen, where he was the first scientist to observe microorganisms such as bacteria. And then Robert Hooke, who made improvements about microscope by working on the lenses where he observed small packs, which is later named cell. Types of microscope. Compound light microscope. This is the picture of a compound microscope in which it is commonly used in classroom work. This type of microscope uses light to view the specimen, thus it is also known as light microscope. Lastly, glass slide. Together with the cover slip, it is used in mounting the specimen. This is a phase contrast microscope. It utilizes the refraction of light in contrast to the light compound microscope, which uses direct light to view the specimen. This is a transmission electron microscope, one of the most powerful microscope that operates on the same basic principle as the light microscope but uses electrons instead of light as its light source. It can magnify 100,000 times. This is scanning electron microscope, which uses focused beam of high-energy electrons to generate a variety of signals at the surface of solid specimen. Its magnification ranges about 10 times to more than 500,000 times. This is the most powerful microscope to date. Parts and functions of microscopes. Eyepiece are secondary lenses that can magnify the specimen image. Body tube. It holds the objective lenses and the ocular lenses at the proper distance. This is scanning electron microscope, which uses focused beam of high-energy electrons to generate a variety of signals at the surface of solid specimen. Its parts and functions of microscopes. The revolving nosepiece is a turret that holds the objective lenses and can be turned to change the objective magnification. Objectives are the primary lenses magnifies the specimen. It has 3 types: low power objective, high power objective, scanning or medium power objective. Arm. It is used to support the microscope when carried. It holds the body tube, nosepiece and objective lenses. Stage. It supports the slide specimen in place. Stage clip are composed of 2 clips that hold the specimen, slides in place on the stage. Diaphragm. It is a rotating disc below the stage that controls the amount of light that passes on the slide specimen. Mirror or light source is used to project light upwards to the diaphragm, the specimen and the lenses. Some uses mirrors where you must move to reflect light. Inclination joint. It allows the user incline the upper portion of the microscope to facilitate viewing of the specimen. Base is the bottom part that supports the entire microscope. How to use microscope. 1. Start on the lowest magnification. 2. Don't use the coarse adjustment knob on high magnification. You'll break the slide. 3. Place slide on stage and lock clips. 4. Adjust light source, if it's a mirror. Don't stand in front of it. 5. Use fine adjustment to focus. And lastly, always carry the microscope with right hand on the arm and left hand on the base. Now, you already know about the microscopes. Its definition and terms. Its history. Its types. Its parts and functions. And its proper care. Any questions regarding microscope? None so far, okay. Always remember, what we know today might not be possible without the invention of microscope, especially in observing the structure of small objects. This ends the presentation. Thank you.